This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Primetime Podcast. New and improved. We killed Ricky. We murdered.
Sean, you're not supposed to say that on air.
He'll be back in a month. I'm Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
This is the Primetime Podcast. This is your podcast for college sporting news, but we hijacked it, so it's just going to be the draft. It's just going to be the NBA draft.
Look, we love talking basketball, so that's what we decided that we're going to do for the next month on the Primetime Podcast, is just talk NBA draft.
Yeah, and some people, and this was a comment saying like, oh, why aren't you guys covering the NBA playoffs? Because the draft is fun.
Yeah.
And one thing, too, is like, you guys like the draft better than the playoffs. Like, whenever we put out playoff content, it really doesn't do well.
Yeah.
Nobody really watches it, so we're going to put something that people, can watch and have a conversation with. So that's what we want to do.
Yep.
On this podcast, we gave you 3 topics that we felt were great conversation starters. We have NBA Combine. The list came out of 66 players that will be attending. We're going to be talking about the guys that we really cannot wait to see in those lists. I think we picked like 15 of them. It was
hard to narrow down.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. So we got 15 of them. We'll talk about all those prospects that we're super excited for the NBA Combine. Then we'll be going into bust. We were positive last week. We talked about potential steals. Now we'll be talking about potential busts coming up. And then finally, we talk about the best fits for Sekou Demboya in the 2019 NBA Draft. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe. We would love for you to subscribe on YouTube or follow us on our iTunes RSS feed. We would love to have you back each and every week. We put these out weekly. We have conversations with you weekly, whether it be on the Primetime Podcast about college sports, whether it be on the Fast Break Podcast, where we talk about the NBA, whether it be on the Onside Kick, where we talk about the NFL, whether it be on Rick and Johnny, where you guys talk nerd news, whether it be on the Too Old to Game podcast, where you guys talk gaming. I think I'm forgetting. Or a graphic conversation, which is coming back, which is about graphic novels, which Ricky and Mark do. So if you do want to help us out, obviously subscribe and follow our RSS feed, or you can also check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. That is the best way to help us. Patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We are trying to upgrade this room, and by upgrade, just get a whole different space, just whole different latitude, longitude. We're going to try to move out. We're trying to get an upgrade. We're trying to build some sets. We're trying to make it all fancy and nice. And you can help us out by doing that by going to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. And you get some really cool perks there, especially the gold perks. If you give us $10 a month, you could be on a Patreon segment. So if you want to talk about the potential busts that are coming up in the NBA draft, you can jump on. You can use this damn phone. You can use this phone and you can call us.
We're real high tech over here.
You can call us on the damn phone.
From 1998.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like it too. It's made by General Electric.
Like, it's got that nice staled, white color to it where it's like, that's seen a lot of dirty air, a lot of dirty faces.
And the dust is old too.
Oh yeah,
the dust.
Even the dust.
Old. And could we dust it? Yes, but
that's not really our thing. We're here to make content.
What do you think? We're maids? Come on. This is it, and also this isn't our room, right?
Yeah.
If we when we have our own space,
we will have the nicest device for you to call in.
We will dust the shit out of that thing. But anyways, this is the podcast that we will be talking about. Obviously, NBA Draft Combine, NBA potential bust in 2019 NBA Draft, and Sekou Demboya's best fits. If you have any thoughts on it, please let us know on Twitter at @MostValuePodcast, or let us know in the comment section of these videos. But Dave, let's start off with the NBA Draft Combine. The NBA Draft just released the expected attendees for the 2019 NBA Draft Combine, powered by Under Armour. They put that specifically in the press release. A select number of draft-eligible players will be invited to participate in the 2019 NBA Draft Combine based on their performances in the NBA G League Elite Camps, which take place May 12th to the 14th. So we'll also get a couple of those players as well. But we have the guys from college and some from high school as well that we're extremely interested in. And the Combine will be taking place Thursday, May 16th and May 17th. ESPN2 will provide coverage both days from 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are a fan, the ESPN2 broadcast kind of sucks. They usually bring in a lot of interviews, and they're very boring.
Yeah, not a whole lot of personality shining through.
Yeah, they really don't show the games, which is the point that I'd be watching the Combine for, is the 5-on-5 that they do.
Yeah.
But not only are we going to be getting that, we'll also be getting wingspans, some vertical jumps, some speed tests as well.
We can take some shots at how that guy can't lift that bench press, the 175 bar.
Yeah.
Everybody just makes jokes about Kevin Durant not being able to do one.
Yeah.
If you can't do one, like, why would anyone draft you? Clearly, Kevin Durant has no physical talent and should not be in the NBA.
Here's the thing. Maybe he has some physical strength, but he has no mental strength, apparently. Or he has no mental strength, and that's what that showed. The bench press showed. He could probably do 175 press now, but he can't take any trash talk on Twitter.
Ooh.
But anyways, we went through the 66 list of prospects, and there was a lot of interesting names on there. We thought we picked the most interesting 15 on there. Those players are Charles Bassey from Western Kentucky, Darius Baisley from the G League, kind of. He was a recruit of Syracuse and then was like, nah, I'm leaving, and then became an intern with New Balance. Extremely interesting. He was a top 20 recruit in high school last year. We have Bobo from Oregon. We have Brian Bowen, who is, I think most people would know from, he was a former Louisville recruit, and then he got caught receiving money from Louisville. Apparently his family members were taking it. Brian claims that he was not taking the money. His family was apparently taking money, and this was dealing with Patino and the reason why Patino got taken down. So Brian was now playing in Sydney, Australia. He's coming now. He'll be attending the NBA Draft 2019 Combine. So seeing what Brian could do will be interesting. Brandon Clark from Gonzaga, Darius Garland from Vanderbilt, Quentin Grimes from Kansas, Tyler Hero from Kentucky, Taylor Horton-Tucker from Iowa State, Mifundu Kabengele from Florida
Close
State.
enough.
All right.
Close enough.
Kabengele from Florida State, Lewis King from Oregon, Romeo Langford from Indiana, Leck. How do you say his name?
Yeah.
Leck?
Yep.
The high school kid. He was a 5-year high school player.
Yeah, he has a first name.
I'm bad with names. It's Jalen Leck from Brewster Academy.
Oh, you didn't even write it down. Wow.
In New Hampshire.
Yep.
And then you got to look at Nasir Little from North Carolina, Chume Okeke from Auburn, Kevin Porter Jr. from USC, Jonte Porter from Missouri, Luka Samanic, international player, and then finally we're going to be talking about Zion Williamson and just how much of a freak he will end up being. We'll save that for the last, though, so you don't have to listen to talk about Zion unless you want to stick around. Let's just go in order right now, Dave. Let's start with Charles Bassey. Yeah. He's a guy that was highly ranked, I think top 10 coming into this class, goes to Western Kentucky, kind of gets lost at Western Kentucky, doesn't put up crazy eye-popping stats that you'd expect a top prospect to do so at Western Kentucky. What are you looking for him to show you at the Combine on the 16th and 17th? I'm
really hoping that he has worked on his agility a little bit, because one of the biggest knocks on him was his ability to move laterally, to move quickly. He's a large guy with a large frame, but if he can't keep up with the pace of the game, he can really slow down offenses and becomes a liability on defense anytime there's a switch, anytime they put you in a pick and roll at the top of the key. He's not someone who can recover quickly from a bad misstep. So if he's worked on his agility, if he's slimmed down a little bit more, I think that you could really see him kind of slide his way back up into, I think where a lot of people had him was falling maybe to the second. Question about where. Maybe he could find his way back up to that end of the first, top of the second.
Yeah, he's an interesting player to me, obviously because of the high school recruiting thing that comes out. But the biggest thing that I look watching him is I don't see him to be an explosive player. And I don't really know if you can add that. And maybe he wasn't really showing that at Western Kentucky just because it was so easy for him to beat his man. Consistently, you just saw it was an entry pass to the low post, and he was just able to get by guys.
I remember we watched a 5-minute video of his highlights, and I was like, wow, there's not a whole lot of skill shining through there. It's just very much
catch, turn, and dunk. Yeah. And that's why I didn't see much jumping off the page when it comes to athleticism, when it comes to Charles Bassey. So that's the thing what I'm looking for, at least in the Combine, is when you're going up against these higher quality players, when you're going up in these 5-on-5s, will you be able to physically dominate? And that was one thing that we saw. Let's just take Mitchell Robinson into account, because he was a guy that was committed to Western Kentucky, then pulled out completely and just solely worked on NBA training before he obviously went into the draft last year. Yeah. Went in the second round and was an absolute stud.
100%.
We saw that athleticism was completely there. He was a goddamn monster.
Yeah.
Crazy wingspan, crazy athleticism, blocking shots left and right, was extremely disruptive and might have been one of the most disruptive players defensively just in the league.
Yeah, his rookie defensive stats were putting him in the elite category with some of the greatest of all time. It is scary how proficient he was at being a shot blocker, I mean, the biggest thing for him was just he had to work on,
fouls.
Yeah, not biting on every single pump fake.
Yeah.
And that man massacred people if he came down on them.
He is still super young, too, so that's obviously going to be something that he can work on.
Yeah.
And that's why we're wonder with Bassey is he has a pretty decent, defensive rating coming out of college. You look at his blocks, too, 2.4 in the 34 games he played at Western Kentucky. So, but then I do wonder, is he going up against that tough of athletes? Is he going up against slow big men? I never saw him to be this stalwart defensively that really jumped off the page. And I look at him and Charles Bassey, and I think you have to look at him like you would look at Goga Batazde. And I look at Batazde, and I don't see maybe that an explosiveness. I think probably the explosiveness I see is the same, but the thing I see with Goga is he's so polished. He can take it from 15 out and drive in and attack. He's very limber when he's attacking the bucket. He's very, at least, creative as well. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've seen Bassey put into those situations where he can be. So maybe Bassey should be up higher. Maybe he should be above Daniel Gafford. Maybe he should be above Goga Batazde or Jackson Hayes. But I didn't see him in enough situations where that was warranted. And maybe he'll end up being a potential steal because people are sleeping on him because they're not looking at him fully as a prospect. And maybe Western Kentucky held him back a little bit. But the thing that I'm looking for with him is what's his vertical? What's his speed like? What's his agility like? And then, obviously, in the 5-on-5s, can he go out there and at least show me something that you can look at and take away and be like, all right, that's an NBA-level skill? Can he be an NBA-level rim protector? Will he be going up there and having a high motor? If he's showing that he has a high motor, that would make me inclined to move him up on my draft board. Absolutely. If he's up there, being very physical on the defensive end, maybe that, puts me to move him up on his draft board. Maybe if he's getting balls and getting the chance to work from the elbow and attacking from there, maybe that would incline me to put him up on my draft board.
One of the things I'd love to see is him to continue to spread out his shot a little bit. He has a decent free throw rate. I think he was shooting just shy of 77% in college. Yep. So on 4 attempts a game, I think that's one area where it's like, okay, you see the core mechanics of a shot aren't bad, so you have hope that in the future he's not going to be limited to just being a rim runner at the NBA level, just completely as a limited player. So as long as that shot can, maybe if he takes a 12-foot jumper, I would love that in a 5-on-5 game. Stretch it out, add that extra dynamic to that game consistently, and we'll see what happens. Because he is offensively pretty polished, like you said, from the within 3 feet in that protected area. So I'd love to see him be able to take a step back and work on that shot.
Yeah, he went 9 of 20 from 3 in college, which was good for 45%. And he had a couple games where he went 1 of 1, even had a game where he went 2 for 2 against Old Dominion. He
to be fair,
take a ton. Though.
I'm gonna asterisk that with those are wide open looks in most cases.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not taking his 3-point percentage. You said 9 of 20. That's got to be 40-something%.
45.
No, I'm not buying that. But
but I'm just saying the fact that he has shown the range to make it.
He's at least willing to take shots, which is better than some could say about Ben Simmons.
Exactly.
I'm just taking shots.
But even then, 10 of 20 in general, he was willing to take 20 shots, and he made it, almost half of them.
Absolutely.
So not saying that that's a skill that's there or that's something that you can tangibly take into the NBA, but it is something that he might be able to work on, at least when you're talking about shooting.
Absolutely.
And extending his range. Maybe he doesn't become a stretch 5 in any stretch of the means, but maybe he will be able to at least expand his game in the NBA and be able to be a mid-range shooter. Mm-hmm. So that's something that it will definitely be able to watch for. And Charles Bassey, the biggest thing is just give me something against higher competition that I can latch onto, because he had a couple games against UCF where that was a tournament team that gave Duke a lot of trouble, and he went out there and put up 25 points, and that was extremely impressive. But I watched that tape and I wasn't really too impressed because the guy that he was mostly going up against was Taco Fall, and Taco Fall is obviously a very good rim protector because he's 7'6".
Yeah,
but
it's
Charles Bassey is just quicker than him and way more physical than him because of his size. Yep. But Taco Fall also isn't going in the first 2 rounds of this draft, so I don't think we should be talking about him a crazy world-beating performance out there from Charles Bassey. So you're gonna be interested to see what he brings to the table.
Absolutely.
Let's move to Darius Bazley. Bazley, also a top 20 recruit, did not go to Syracuse, pulled out, kind of like Mitchell Robinson, was going to work solely on his NBA draft workouts. There was talk that he might go to the G League. He pulled out fully of that and then became an intern for New Balance. signed a $1 million contract. He has his own YouTube channel, so check him out. He's pretty personable in some ways. I mean, it's nothing. It's no great content, no groundbreaking content, but
it's not. Hey, he's no Jimmy Butler on YouTube.
Yeah,
because that's some professional polish.
He's also having fun.
Yeah.
But let's look at Basley. What do you need to see out of Darius from this combine to show that he's ready for the NBA? Are you looking for a Mitchell Robinson type performance from the combine? Obviously, they're different players. One's 7 foot tall, playing 5. Basley's more of a 3-4. What are you looking for out of him? Is it like a shot, agility, all around game?
I think there's a lot to be seen on the measurable end, but for me, I'm fully focused on that 5-on-5. Put him in a game with the elite talent from college and let me see how he interacts. Let me see if he still has that ball handling skill that we loved out of him in college. The ability to have a wing out there who can ball handle as well as he can.
High school.
I'm sorry, high school.
College,
yes. Out of high school. When he can do that and he can create for himself and he can create for others, that's what adds that giant asterisk to like, this man's value goes from, right now, we're quietly mocking him second round. You know, we don't know because we haven't seen anything out of him. But if he shows up there and looks good, and then we start to see those personal workouts happen after that, there's a real chance he comes all the way back up into the first round, anywhere, like honestly, anywhere to the end of like the lottery range. Because I think if you look back at Mitchell Robinson's story, that pretty much is what people are going to latch onto and be like, look, here's a guy who didn't play in college, who earned it, who deserved it, and you guys had him ranked appropriately coming out of high school, so nothing changed. You should definitely take the pick at, lottery range for him because he's got the talent. So if he can show up in that 5-on-5 game, show his handles, show his ability to create, that's what brings it all back to fruition. One
thing I love about Darius, too, is he's a lefty shooter, and I love those type of guys. I don't know if his mechanics are supreme at all. I'm definitely going to be intrigued to see how he shoots from the outside.
Yeah.
If he can be efficient at least. I don't know if his mechanics are 100% there in the NBA game. It's not super lightning quick or anything like that. It's also not straight up and down. He does kind of have a bend to his elbow. But if he's able to go out there and, like you say, show that he can be somewhat of a facilitator for his size, that's definitely going to increase his stock.
Yeah.
I just wonder about the lottery performance. You mentioned that. Who would he really kick out? Like, I mean,
I don't know if he can make it to lottery, but I think the tail end is where I would start to get interested because I think at that point,
I feel like I would need to see a lot from him to put him at that level.
I think the combine's the starting point. Then it's the personal team workouts. It's the combo of those two together happening that's really going to make magic happen if it can happen for him. Because I don't understand why people are so afraid of a player who, well, I understand.
Well, your whole stance like early on was that you're not going to mock him because you don't know him.
I haven't. Yeah. He's not been in my first round mocks the entire year. I'm just waiting until I can actually see him play again. Like, that's the big thing. As soon as I see him play, he could look like a stud out there, and I'd be like, wow, this kid just schooled RJ Barrett. Like, he's going, like, 12th, or he, shows up and maybe he can facilitate a little bit, but his shot still isn't quite where we want it to be. And, like, with that size, if you don't have an outside shot, like, how much value are really going to be able to help a team with? So maybe I could see him falling, 20 to 30 range, or even second round again. So there's so much unknown about him, but at the same time, I look at where he was ranked, what he did in high school, and I have to think that the talent's still there. And if he's been working with personal trainers and coaches for an entire year, that means he's had more time on the court than any actual player in college. The question is just, you're not playing against college level competition. So how much can you improve yourself mentally, physically on that court working, one-on-one basically? That's the big question. Is that shows, I think, a lot more about him mentally, being able to force himself to get up every day, go work out. I know the New Balance $1 million thing, like, dope, but at the same time, I think it shows a lot that you can get up on your own and work to improve your game rather than just throughout the year you see those small improvements from players in college.
Do you think how much do you think a bad performance hurts him then? Because like, what if he's not up to game speed? What if he's not ready to play against these guys? Yeah,
then you're sitting in the second round, 100%. Like you're one of those guys who is like 30 to 40 to 45 even. Like honestly, if he doesn't have many opportunities to show his game, that's why it's so critical that he hits it here. I think he's one of the most dependent players on a good combine performance because just there's no tape of you out there. So we need to see you play against someone.
Yeah, I don't know what Zion's deal is going to be in the combine, but if Darius Bazley's first game out there 5-on-5 is going up against Zion Williamson,
yikes,
that might be very scary for him, and that might really kill his draft stock. I don't know if Zion will be participating in that. Just
I hope Zion just shows up to jump.
Yeah, I mean he has real no need to. I think that's what he's going to be doing, and we'll definitely talk about that soon. But he's definitely going to be a player to watch out there. Darius Bazley is. I think it's Bazley. We'll figure it out. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Let's move to the next one. Bol, our favorite player out of Oregon. He was the fourth player in the 2018 recruiting class. Obviously, he had his time in Oregon. Played 7 games, 12 games?
Played a couple games.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up.
Played like first 7 games of Oregon and then injured his foot. Did not return. He's
9.
7'3", played 9 games for Oregon. Freshman. Obviously, the son of Manute Bolt. Dave, you're in love with him. What do you need to see from Bol at the combine to kind of secure his spot? Because I know you're ready to put him at 6 to the Washington Wizards if the draft lottery doesn't change. We know there's odds. We know that it might change. We're not saying that these things will happen.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, you can't have a fucking lottery prediction and just have fun with it. But at least with you, let's say the Wizards stick at 6. You've been wanting to put Bol there. If he has a good combine performance, would you be, easy, it would be easy for you to fall asleep having Bol 6 if he has a good combine performance?
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking for?
Honestly, I don't need to see a ton out of him. That's my problem is I'm going in with low expectations. Like, I get it. He hurt. He got hurt this year, and it was just, foot injuries suck for big men. So how well can you move out there at all? Literally, it's just going to show me, like, where are you on the recovery train? But I'm not super worried. I'm at the same point where I'm like, look, I get it. I would have taken Joel Embiid early. Injury be damned. Like, it doesn't matter. 1 year of an injury throughout a player's career is a complete wash to not take him, in the draft. I think that if you truly believe that it will be a career hampering injury where it's going to continue on or lead to additional injuries and severely hamper him from hitting his potential, then yeah, that's your right to say that's not my thing. But if it's like, yeah, I'm going to miss the next, 3 months while I continue to rehab this stuff. And, maybe I'll rejoin the team, for the start of the season. Maybe I need a little bit more time to polish up and we'll work my way in. I'm not going to blink an eye at that. So if he shows up and looks, like he can move around again, great. If he's just, there to get measured and show his freakishly long wingspan, I'm cool with that too. I don't really think he needs to do a lot from my end. But I have a very different outlook on him than a lot of people do. So, Sean, I think you're more in the majority with your cautions and concerns about, a 7'3" man staying healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is I don't really need to see much out of him in the combine. I just want to be able to see that he can go out there and be healthy. And if he's out there and is healthy, that's a big thing for me is just making sure he's not dealing with the effects of this injury still. Because if he's able to recover, then, hey, people have injuries. People get, banged up. Foot injuries happen with big men. Your feet are all the way around the basket. Guys are jumping up, fall down. I mean, obviously, I don't think that was the case of this. But if he's able to be out there healthy and just showed what he did in those first 9 games, then I'd be happier putting him in my top 10. Mm-hmm. I think he is a top 6 talent. I think that's where I put him on the big board.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, I mean, he's talented. You have a 7'3" player that easily shoots 52% from 3. He's a guy that is an offensive wizard out there.
Think how stupid that sounds.
It's insane. I mean, he's an offensive wizard. I mean, he's got a great mid-range game. He's got a great post-up game. He's got a great, smooth transition from, posting up to turning around and hitting a jumper.
He can put the ball in the court.
He can face up as well. Yeah, I mean, he could dribble. He's just very fluid offensively and even defensively as well. He's not a guy that gets totally blown by. And if you do blow by him, he's 7'3" and has a 7'10" wingspan and can stuff you. I just worry about his strength. And hey, if he comes out and he looks yoked, and he's able to body up some guys, then he's probably going to move up. If he's able to go out there and play 20 minutes of some 5-on-5s and just look healthy out there, that's going to be huge for me too. I just worry that this might be a lingering effect on him and that he might not be able to fully contribute out there, and that would start to worry me. That this is supposed to be a 4-month injury, and now this is still hurting you into May when you were injured in November.
Yeah.
If that is still the case, and it doesn't look like he's just out of shape.
March,
What's it?
May. Yeah, I just counting months out loud.
Oh yeah,
it's been 6.
It's been 6. If he looks out of shape out there, then I could probably write that off. But if he looks like he's just not ready to play and he looks like he's just, lost out there and he looks like he's lost a step, then that's what's going to be concerning me. I just want to make sure that he's healthy out there, and that's what I'm going to be really keyed on in watching Bobo on the 16th and 17th. Let's move now to Brian Bowen. He was the 21st prospect in the 2017 recruiting class. We went to Louisville, got caught up in a scandal of being paid, or at least his family being played, led into the firing of Rick Pitino. He then went to go play for the Sydney Kings in Australia. He now got an invite to the NBA Draft Combine. 6'7", small forward, pretty good shooter. What are you looking for Brian Bowen out of this?
I'd like to see him compete more as a team player. And I feel bad keep saying like 5-5 because that is the big thing, because he's played in Australia. And to give you guys some context, he was a role player in Australia. He's only putting up 6 points and 3 boards. He had an okay time there. I think there's a couple explosive plays of him, but at the same time, I look at him and I go, all right, this guy screams second rounder or like undrafted free agent because he might want to pick where he goes to see what offers come his way. I don't know that I have the same, first round evaluation from where he was in high school to where he is now and what I've seen out of him playing against grown men in Australia.
Yeah, I think one thing too is what effect is this going to have on his career? Because we've seen so many times that, obviously this is a huge thing and that he truly believes he did nothing wrong and shouldn't have been left, out to dry at Louisville. Yeah. And then he had to move away from his family, move to Australia, move away from the country he's from. He's from Indiana. And I just worry about what effect that will have on his life. Maybe it will be a negative one. Maybe he just is completely shook by this whole thing. He's untrusting of agents and everybody around him. And that could lead to him really struggling to go into a workplace in the NBA and be able to be a part of a team if he's not going to be able to trust people. I know this is getting super psychologist and, armchair psychology and all that stuff. This is all about playing basketball, but that does affect you out there. You need to be able to be a good teammate. And I'm not saying that any of this is his fault, but it is something that is a concern out there. And at least in high school and what I saw from him, he's pretty quick. He's got a quick shot. He's not afraid to pass the ball. I just wonder if he is too small to play the 3. He's 6'7", obviously, but I don't know if he's big enough. I don't know if he plays big enough. He plays more like a guard, and that's my worry is he more like a 6'7" guard? And then if he's a shooting guard, if he's playing 2 guard at 6'7", is he then quick enough to play with like the C.J. McCollums, the Klay Thompsons? Is he that elite of an athlete to be playing that position in the NBA? Yeah. And that's what I'm going to be looking for, at least in the combine, is what are his measurables going to end up being? Is he going to be 6'7"? What's his wingspan going to be like? I don't think he was really an elite defender coming out of high school.
No, I mean, he was basically just, it was a lot of offensive production because he's a great slasher, and when he does pull up, it was on a dime. Like, I'll give him credit, his offensive game had something to it, but like you said, if he's not building up mass and able to keep his body in shape, not in shape, but like physically build up as a 6'7" guy, like when he's trying to slash in the NBA going up against much bigger bodies, how are you going to be able to hold up?
And his high school, at least measurements, was 6'7", 195. You can't be that small, at least as a 3. So what's his body now looking like? Is he up to that like 215 range? Is he adding more muscle onto his body? That's going to be the biggest thing, is how is he actually looking, and what does he have the look of an NBA player? Because I think at least his quickness was there before. His shot was there before. He was a willing passer as well. He could be a really interesting offensive bench player piece. Yeah. And maybe, hell, if he comes out and he's extremely motivated by what happened at Louisville, when going overseas was a real culture shock, and him coming back, he just wants to make sure he makes it in the league, make a statement. Maybe that does propel him. Maybe he has that motor that puts him over to the next level and he becomes a star in the NBA.
I could honestly see this guy be like work his way up from the G League style. Like he's a second-round pick, and they give him minutes down the G League. He continues to build up his game, and he can definitely give like solid minutes throughout the season.
There are a lot of positives to him. Yeah, and the negatives are just like, what position does he play? Because if he is able to find his position and he's big enough, I think he has the athleticism, and he might have that next level motivation to get him to that level. Like, and
character-wise, we're pretty much writing off as like, I don't really blame him for anything that went down. I'm not putting any onus on him. Like, we know it's a bad system already, and the fact that he was just the one who got caught,
Yeah, I mean, right? He's not the only one taking money. Yeah, and he still claims to not be taking money. So,
I mean, imagine if like DeAndre Ayton got caught with the monthly payments You know,
technically he did, just no one gives a shit.
While he was in college, while he was about to go to college, we noticed there was a large sum of money deposited to a bank account before he played a game. Like, what would happen then?
Yeah.
I mean,
let's move to a different guy, Brandon Clark. The biggest reason why I brought him up is because I'm wondering what his measurables are going to be like.
Yeah. Because we're guessing what, like 6'8"?
Yeah.
6'8" height with a what wingspan?
230? Oh, 230 pounds and then like 6'11" wingspan.
So,
I have a tough time guessing these things, but
yeah.
What I'm wondering is, what is his body going to be like? Is he going to be able to be not his body, because I'm not really too worried about his actual body, but
he is older than most guys, so he's a little more developed physically. Mm-hmm. You know, he is what he is, I think, at this point.
I'm
for the most part.
wondering what his measurables are going to be like. Is he going to be, you know, what's his speed, you know, testing like? What's his vertical like? If he is able to show that he has elite intangibles when it comes to his athleticism, that will help that production so much and will make it so much easier for him to be a top 10 pick.
It quells the concerns.
He's in that range.
He's a tweener. Like, nobody wants to be like, yep, you're a small ball 5 for us, or you're going to be our 4, even though in your game is more old school, and we're concerned about you stretching out the floor and causing, you know, problems as far as our spacing is concerned. And I think that if you can get that, like, if you do see those special abilities from him at the combine, the special measurables and tangibles, as you put it, you know, that will go a long way. I think a lot of teams are just concerned to take that next step and be like, yeah, we're rolling out the 6'9" guy as our center. Like, if his wingspan, if his standing reach comes in at a decent rate, that's going to help him a ton, because you need someone who can rim protect, and he's already elite from a instinctual point. Like, he has got it down. He is one of the best defenders in college. But if you can guarantee that NBA level reach, then you're in the money. Then you're absolutely going to get rolling in the dough.
Yeah, and one thing too is, like, when it comes to these shooting drills, let's say he has those next level elite intangibles, at least when it comes to athleticism, and then he's able to show, like, hey, I even got a shot out here. Gonzaga's holding me back. I'm just saying.
I don't know about that.
He was a decent free throw shooter.
He can drive with the ball in his hands. I'll give him that. I'm not expecting him to pull up and drop a J.
I'm just saying, if he goes out there and has like a Jamal Murray level of combine, he made 93 of 100 in the
something ridiculous
in the Celtics thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
those numbers were all wonky.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna happen. I just, again, his next level metrics were off the charts. And he wasn't a great free throw shooter. I was making that up.
I didn't think so.
He was around 70%, which is decent for a big man. But
yep.
I doubt he's going to be a great shooter. I wonder if he is that next level of athleticism. I think teams would not question taking him to be their small ball 5. And that's something that's going to be extremely huge for him.
But
it's not really
those
5-on-5s.
Yeah, this is a class where you got 6'9" guys who are, you know, looking at playing a 3 in the NBA, and this is a guy who you're thinking is going to be your 5. I mean, I know we're positionless basketball people, but like, you do have to give a moment of pause, because you can't just make that work on every team.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a system, you have to have the personnel around it to support it. And I think we've been mocking him specifically to a team that would fit that in our minds with the Timberwolves.
Yeah, God, I would love that fit. Let's move now to the next one in Darius Garland. Kind of like Bobo. Had a meniscus tear. Apparently now ESPN, the guys from Draft Express, mentioned that it might have been an MCL, which is even worse.
Yep.
So Garland is invited. We're not sure what his status is. What are you looking for from Darius Garland? Is it health? Is it being out there?
I mean, if he's healthy enough to attend and fully participate, that will be great. I want to see his shooting. I want to see him take 100 shots in a gym, just crank them out back to back to back to back, because I need to know if what I saw this season out of the few games that he did play was what I can expect, or was that the aberration? Like, was that where's the true norm at? Because normally when you talk about shot selection and shot size, you need to have somewhere in the range of 200 plus shots to really find out where a player, is at least close to ending up at. 300, the higher you get on their count, the closer you get to what they really are. And when you have such a small sample size, the numbers can be inflated. We look at him, and I'm hoping that I see a player who is a great shooter from the outside. We want him to be like a mini Dame. We want him to be in that prototype of a player. In the back of my head, I've got like 1% saying like, what if he comes out and he shoots like Romeo Langford? And I'm like, oh no. Like, what if he just bricks a shit ton from 3? Yeah. And I know Romeo obviously come out and said he'd play the whole season hurt with his thumb on his shooting hand. But at the same time in my head, I'm just like, what if he has that moment where it's just like, here's your opportunity, and he chokes on it. And it's just like, dude, we're all mocking you like 5 through 10, and that could absolutely tank his stock if he chooses to attend and is not fully healthy and makes a misstep there.
I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about as long as his mechanics are fine shooting.
Yeah.
Give me him.
Okay.
I love his mechanics. That's all that matters to me.
You saw enough tape of him in high school to be confident?
It could just be rust, Okay. Like if he goes out there and maybe he's too much in his head, maybe he can break some shots. But if the mechanics are still there, he's got great mechanics. He's got such a quick release. He's got a
great handle too.
Yeah.
He can find openings.
So that's the thing that I like about him. And I think the biggest thing for me, for Garland, is obviously same with Bol. He's got to be healthy out there. That's the biggest thing. Can he contribute out there and just be a player out there? Not even like a star, but can he just be a player out there? Because you're coming back from injury. I'm not expecting too much. But then also, what is his size going to be? Because what if he's comes out there and he's like actually like 6 feet tall? Because apparently we've seen like he's like 6'3", but he doesn't look 6'3".
No.
So I'm wondering what his actual size is. Is he a mini Dame? Or is he actually the same size as Dame? Is he actually 6'3"? That would actually change massively his draft stock, because this guy's a 6'3" guard, not 6 feet tall, and he's got like at least a 6'3" wingspan, 6'4" wingspan. He might shoot up.
True.
I think teams, I don't know if this is true or not, but I mean, like, he might be the 4th best prospect in teams' minds. Just because he's got that deadly shooting from the outside. And if he is bigger and he might be same size as, let's say Ja, he might be fighting for a top 5 spot. And if he's able to seal that with, 3 more inches, that could be absolutely huge for Garland. So I'm really curious to what his actual size is going to be like. Let's move to a guy we haven't talked about too much, and that's Quentin Grimes. Grimes was a highly recruited player coming out of college. I want to get the actual list out here. I went to 2017, so let me just pull up 2018. Quentin Grimes, though, was at Kansas, had a disappointing year, but he was the 8th ranked prospect by Rivals.com going into the season. Grimes was not great at Kansas. The whole team kind of underperformed.
Yeah.
What are you looking for with Grimes coming into the NBA draft? Because this is a guy that we haven't really talked about this year at all.
Not since very early.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him. He was in our way too early mock draft. Reported as 6'5", 210. A guard. I probably leaned more towards a 2 guard than a 1 guard. Yep. Scored 8.4 points in 36 games, 38% from the field. Yikes. 34% from the 3. Not bad. And then 60% from the line, which is also a big yikes. 2 assists per game, 0.2 blocks, 0.6 steals. So, an offensive guard, not really a point guard, more of a 2 guard. He's got size, 6'5", but what are you looking for out of the combine in Quentin Grimes?
I really want to see where he comes in on the speed drills. I think he's a player who can contribute to teams. You said offensive. I think that if he has a chance to hit the NBA level, he has to show that he's a two-way player.
Okay.
And if he can hit on the speed drills, being his size at 6'5", and being able to move laterally, being able to cover as much ground as he potentially could, I think there's a chance for him to hit the NBA level. I know his shooting percentages this year were incredibly disappointing, but I think he's physically there. I think he needs to get there from a mechanics standpoint. With him, I believe that he probably should go back. I know he's probably not going to, but I think he'd be best off getting another year of work in and trying to lock up his game, just tighten up a lot of what he's doing, because he has had open looks in college. He has had those opportunities to be the number 1 on a team, and it's just this is not looking good. He's had a couple of games where he's putting up 21. His first game in college, I mean, you couldn't look better coming out the gates. He hit 6 of 10 from 3, against Michigan State. That is a moment to come out and say, I'm here, I'm a legitimate talent. And then you just watch it just dwindle. His roll shrunk, his shot selection got poor, and then he had a couple games in the middle year, bounced back, but he never really hit where he was supposed to be as a college athlete. So I need to see him, a lot of speed, a lot of effort, and him being able to do well in ball drills, because if he can do that for me, it says I can work with this guy, and I can, he might be first round talent, but he showed nothing to me in college. Yeah. So I might be able to get him as a steal in, the second round and work with him. And in 2-3 years from now, he could be worth a contract.
The biggest thing that hurts him is his size and his actual body. I think that's the thing that hurts him, because we've seen guys this year that come out and just aren't living up to where they were ranked as prospects. And Nasir Little obviously comes to mind. Cam Reddish obviously comes to mind. Quentin Grimes, though, very similar player, did not live up to that hype.
Yep.
But he falls all the way out of the first round totally, becomes a second round player. We end up not talking about him at all. We don't have him in our 1.0. And he's a guy that I think that if he was a 3, and let's say he was more 6'7", 6'8", he'd probably still be a first-round talent because it is that NBA body. But being 6'5", not being a two-way player, and just being a scorer pretty much, it's kind of in the same vein as Romeo Langford, but just with less production.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. I mean, it's just the value of position today in the NBA. The 2 is not something that is in dire need. We see teams being successful when you pair a great point guard with a great wing, and without that height and size, you're right. He has lost value just on a base level. And
going to that, the next guy we're talking about is Tyler Hero, and that's a guy with production. That's a guy that has an elite skill at that 2-guard position of shooting. So let's talk about that. I mean, Grimes doesn't have that elite skill. He doesn't have that elite three-point shooting skill. Hero does. What are you looking for from Hero? The biggest thing that I'm looking at is how well does he test as an athlete? Because obviously we saw Dante DiVincenzo come out.
Yes.
He made himself a first-round pick for the Milwaukee Bucks that year, having a great combine.
Yeah, he piled on from the end of the tournament into that combine. Like, that man had a Cinderella story.
I don't think Tyler needs that well of a performance. He doesn't need a 40-inch vertical, but I think he needs to test as an above-average athlete. In some ways, just to show
even how well Grayson Allen did at the combine last year. I mean, he was a guy who rose up boards because of his combine performance. Older player, but still an elite, shooter in college. And Tyler Hero definitely hits that mark. But I wonder, the wingspan, is it as short as people are saying? Is he a negative wingspan kind of player? And that scares me. And it's weird because you look at him and I'm like, I think he's like +1, +2. I think he's going to be okay. But if it comes back that he's shorter, just that doubt falls back in. It's like, okay, so defensively, like, you're already on an effort level kind of a guy. I thought you were all right defensively. You're not as bad as people jokingly made it out to be, like J.J. Redick bad in college. But no, I think that you're right. Give me those measurables. He's a guy who's exactly that's as high as he can go. Is if he measures out well, like, we could see him end of the lottery.
Yeah, and we've talked about him already. I mean, we talked about him to the Lakers. If they end up sticking it around that 11th spot, LeBron needs a 2-guard who could shoot. Tyler Hero is that. I think if he makes himself that he's shows that he's a good athlete, I think he might be able to get himself into the lottery. I think that's going to be the biggest guy that you look for, at least with those tests, those agility tests, those strength tests, etc. How he tests out. Let's move to a guy that you guys like. I really don't like him. Taylor Horton-Tucker out of Iowa State. What are you looking for out of the combine for Taylor?
Talon.
What are you looking for from THT?
THT. Give me some of that THT. He needs to look in better shape. That's step one. Step one is he's got picked out the whole year because he is a weird size. He is he's a little bit shorter than his weight would, ideally be at. So if he comes in slimmed down a little bit and still measures out in an elite category like we're expecting him to, as far as wingspan to height ratio, then he is in money range. On top of that, if he has a good shot at that point, that's the cherry on top. But if he comes in and measures with an elite level wingspan and gets down to a better playing size, I mean, he's had a month. You can do a lot of body change in a month, and that I think will decide if he comes in looking like he's been enjoying life a little bit too much and looks just in worse shape than we saw out of him during the NCAA season. Then this kid is going to sink quick. But I see him and I see the potential because he does have such a good potential game at the NBA level because of his combo. So it's training. It's how well can he be in the right shape, in the right frame of mind, and hit that measurable for wingspan like spot on. Yeah,
I mean, I think weight's going to be a big thing for him. Being 6'4", 238, that's not good.
Yeah,
but
he a big boy.
I think I'm intrigued to see what his wingspan ends up being because apparently it's like 7'1".
Yeah, people are rumoring 7'2" even, and I'm like, that it would be insane.
Absolutely insane. So if he's coming
he can
out
play
with that,
2 through 4.
Yeah.
I called it. I said PJ Tucker already.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm thinking, but possibly even more athletic, more of a playmaker, which would be
it took PJ
crazy.
a while to get into that role. So I think for him, showing that he is committed to himself physically is step one.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the biggest thing is just seeing what his actual wingspan is and then obviously seeing that motivation. Because if he's able to slim down, I'd like him more. It's just I don't think he's going to be quick enough to go up against two guards. He might obviously have that wingspan, but I don't think he's going to be quick enough to go up against two guards, especially to stay in front of him. And I think
he bodies threes and fours, though. It's fun to watch his college defensive highlights. That's a stupid thing to say out loud because, defensive highlights are usually boring AF, unless it's like a SWAT into the crowd Zion style. But he's a guy who you're like, how is this going to play out? And you're just like, oh, okay.
But let's say he goes up against some of these guys that are so quick, with turnaround jumpers, posting them up, that wingspan's going to be negated. So I think he's got to show that he's quick enough and obviously has that wingspan to go with it.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next guy, Mfundu Kabengele. I'm fucking that up. Mfundu Kabengele from Florida State, forward, sophomore, 6'10", 250, from Burlington, Ontario, Canada. Shout out Canada. This is a guy that people really like. Had a good year at Florida State, 13 points per game, about 6 boards, 1.5 blocks, shooting 50% from the field, 76% from the line. Interesting player here. A lot of people are high on him. What do you think about Kabengele?
I'm not as high as I'm with you. I'm a bit confused on the hype around him. Coming into the late first round, a lot of people want to put him in that 20 to 30 range, and I would say I don't understand quite what elite level NBA talent he has. Like, what individual piece of his game screams like, this guy is an NBA level player? Because I think he's a good college player. There's a difference between a good college player, a good well-rounded college player, and someone who has an elite NBA level skill. And I can't pinpoint that watching his games. He's had a couple of fantastic highlight reel games, but throughout the whole year, there's nothing that stood out to him, to me. And I could be wrong. I'm not a professional scout here, but watching what I did watch, I just didn't see enough out of him that screamed first round talent.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is a lot of his damage comes in the post, and if he was a 6'10" guy doing this stuff from the wing, then I'd be much more intrigued. But he just screams more of a center to me. I mean, obviously he's got a pretty decent stroke from the outside, but it's mostly just spot-up shooting. I don't see a ton of them offensively that screams like a guy that can really do a ton of damage outside of post-ups and turnaround jumpers, and then obviously just catch and shoot from the outside. I don't really know what his game is. I don't think he has a well-rounded game. You talk about scoring at 3 levels. I don't know if he'll be able to score on 3 levels by himself because a lot of it's entry passes or kickouts that his offense is. And he's definitely intriguing. Again, 6'10".
He does know how to get to the line to his own benefit, though.
And he's good at the line. Yeah. I just wonder about his ability to create for himself. And I don't think that exists right now.
Yeah. No, I think he's got... I'm not saying he can't pan out, but I think he's a guy who needs to continue building his game. It might be in the G League. It might be coming off the bench at the NBA level, but I don't understand the first-round hype around that.
Yeah, I don't think he's worth the first round. And also the fact that he's 6'10" and only grabbing 6 boards. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Look who's on the team.
I know, but it's still, I don't see him as an elite rebounder. I don't see him really rising up, grabbing balls. I think he's, typically some of these rebounds he's grabbing, it's right place, right time. And that's what I see out of him. He's definitely a project, I would say. And you talk about, if he selected and goes to the G League and is able to build up, he'd definitely be more interesting to me. But I still see him as a second rounder. But if he comes out, in the combine and is able to show some ball handling skills in the 5-on-5s, then I might be a little bit more intrigued. But right now, iffy.
Yeah.
Let's move to Louis King. This is Ricky's guy. I feel bad that he's not here to talk about him.
That's all right.
Louis King, I think the biggest thing is those 5-on-5s for me. He's got to show that he can be an elite ball handler and a guy that can go to the bucket and score. Because he could shoot already. I know he could shoot. But can he be a guy that, with his wingspan, with his size, can he get to the bucket? Can he score against the 66 best NBA prospects in the league? That's what I'm really intrigued by with Louis King.
Yeah. Everybody wants to just paint him as he's raw enough because he was so young, and at the same time, he had the injury. So basically, we haven't gotten to see the best of him yet. Even though he did come back, he played half a year basically. It's a bummer we didn't get to see him and Bull together. I think that Oregon team would have been deadly. But I look at him and I just see he's a pretty good wing prospect. Is there a lot to be desired out of his game? Absolutely. He's not going to be the guy on any team, but he can be a good role player. And, a couple years down the line, he may be a starting role guy. Like, I don't want to, I'm always bad at this because I always give like bad comps, but like he could build up his game similar to how like Rocco did. Rocco came in the league as a limited offensive player, purely on his defensive ability, and continued to build up his shot over time. And I think Louis King's a guy who knows how to drive to the bucket, so it's not as three-point oriented as Rocco. But, I mean, he is shooting 5 a game in college, so I have to think that like he could be a 3-and-D prospect out there for people who are hoping to strike a gem, later in this draft. It's not too far off of what Terrence Ferguson turned into later this year,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think looking at where he stands right now in Louis King, I think the biggest thing that I would see from him is, we saw Troy Brown come out, and Troy Brown obviously was a completely different player, but at least being that wing from Oregon, we didn't see enough of Troy Brown.
Well, he's a ball handling
stand out. Yeah, different player. But what I'm trying to say is like, I think that Louis King has the body, he has the potential.
Yeah,
that's all great. I think that personally, he's a guy that you go back to college because I think the best place for him to grow would be a place that he could dominate and say, all right, this is what I'm great at.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't think he can say that. I think all he can say is, I have the NBA body to do this. And hey, go get paid. I'm never going to be in the situation that you are to go get paid
Correct.
in the NBA. Go get paid when you want to go get paid. If you have the luxury of taking that next chance and going back to Oregon, if he has that ability, I think that is something that would be well taken for him because I think that he needs to be able to go and dominate somewhere and gain that next level confidence. And I don't think he was able to do that this year in Oregon yet, but I think if he goes back, he would be able to at least have that ability to.
Do you think he could put up like 20 in college?
I think he has the skills to. I think he's quick enough. I think he can get to the bucket. I think he's a good enough shooter. I just worry about, can he be aggressive enough? And I didn't see him be aggressive enough in college. And that's the biggest thing. And hey, maybe he goes out and he's super aggressive in these 5-on-5s. If he does that, then fuck it. He's a first-round pick. But I worry about his aggressiveness, and I worry about his ability to take over a game. I haven't seen that yet, and I think that he could do that in Oregon next year. And if you have that confidence, then maybe it transfers to your draft stock rising and your sophomore year of college. I feel like he could be like a DeAndre Hunter in some ways, of where he was slept on, or Jarrett Culver, where he was slept on, not really seen as a prospect in his freshman year, then goes back and then dominates and takes that next step. That's what I could see him as. Like, because I mean, he is a very talented kid, 100%. And he's a guy that you look at what he was doing and where he was ranked, at least when it comes to prospects levels. Highly rated kid. I mean, he's got the body, like we were saying. He's got the ability to drive and all that great stuff. I mean, he was coming in. He was I just had it right here. He was the 25th prospect in the prospects from the 2018 class. So he was right above Kobe White. So the kid's got talent without a doubt. Let's move now to Romeo Langford, one of the higher ranked players in the prospects. The biggest thing for this kid is shooting, right? Yeah.
I mean, it just, once I understood that he was playing the year on an injured thumb, it sort of made me want to just like double check and be like, do I really dislike him, or is it the fact that like what else about his game was giving me fits? Because it was the problem of he was, scream DeMar DeRozan level production. He's going to be real good from that mid range, and he's got a decent low post ability to get to the hoop. But at the same time, like the 3-point shots just were not landing for him consistently. So knowing now what I know, looking back at his games, I mean, as long as he looks all right out there, like he's probably gonna go back up again.
Yeah, the biggest thing with him is I want to see how great of an athlete he is. I want to see those tests, those strength and speed tests. I don't really care that much about the shooting because I think he's just a bad shooter in general, and that's something he's gonna need to fix in general. He's got a really bad stroke. Like his mechanics are fucked, so he needs to build those back up.
It's not Lonzo Ball.
He needs to go see our boy Drew Hanlon and fix that shot. That's the biggest thing that he needs off-season work. And hey, maybe he's already started putting that in, but he had that thumb surgery that he might not even participate here. But I want to see how good of an athlete he is. Is he a next level, one of the most elite athletes out of these 66 guys? Because if he is, then I think that's willing to move him up, because that shows that, hey, maybe he is going to be able to have the ability to be a great defender. And if we fix his shot, he can be an all-around stud offensively. So that's what would move him up on the board. Like, people were saying that he might be Kobe. Not saying he is Kobe, but Kobe was
there were
thrown
Kobe
out there
Stan
as
defending him properly.
if he's able to show that he has that athleticism to make what Kobe was Kobe.
Yep.
And obviously, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. But if he's able to be an elite athlete in this class, I think that's going to be huge for his draft stock. He might come back into the lottery because right now we have him outside of the lottery.
Yep.
Let's now go to Jalen Leck, point guard out of New Hampshire. Interesting player here. He's exploring his NBA draft eligibility. He was an NC State recruit. He committed to NC State. And now they're waiting to hear if he was eligible, is what his dad said. And now he's been invited to the draft combine. So he was 34th recruit according to ESPN 100, and now he believes he is eligible for the 2019 draft. He's currently a fifth-year player in high school at Brewster Academy in New Hampshire.
Yep.
Seems like he is. He reclassified, and now he's looking like he's going to be draft eligible. So what are you looking for with Jalen Leck? You compared him to Anthony Simmons, at least for the fact that he was a 5-year player.
Yep.
What do you see in his game, though?
Incredibly explosive. They don't play anything alike. It was just that,
the fact that they're 5-year players.
From a gameplay standpoint, Jalen, hilariously explosive. I love that people have decided to give him the nickname of like Mini Westbrook, or Baby Westbrook. Either way, hilarious because he jumps off the ground at an incredible rate, and I think he's one of those guys
He kind of looks like Darius Garland.
Really. From a facial standpoint?
The picture in Rivals, I know you can't see it. I can kind of see it. They kind of got rounder faces.
All right, maybe.
Whatever.
Yeah, I ain't sure about that. I'll be honest. It's been a long time since I've looked at those photos. I think that he has got potential to absolutely wow with people, though, because he is an explosive player. His highlight reels is just dunks, more dunks. So what I want to see is him playing against more grown men. Like, I would absolutely love to see him go up in the 5-on-5 games, but at the same time, his vert, incredibly important. How well, is he strong enough to do X amount of reps? I think all around, he needs to really show up because as a young talent going into this without having that college level competition, he's the same age as these guys. He just didn't have the level of competition spotlight on him, so he really needs to stand out here. He is on the same level as Darius Baisley, 100%.
Yeah, I think the one thing that will intrigue me with him is I don't think he's ever going to be a first-round talent. I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think teams will grade him at that level. I just wonder about how quick his shot actually is because he doesn't seem like he's a quick pull-up shooter, and that worries me instantly because we've seen 6'4" guys that are incredibly athletic not be able to be great passers, and that hurts their ability to be effective. They're not great shooters. That hurts their ability to be effective. They're just athletes.
Right.
Dennis Smith Jr. The fact that he's wearing the number 1, signed to NC State, just screams Dennis Smith Jr. to me.
Yikes.
And not saying that, obviously Dennis Smith Jr. is a top 10 talent, but I think the fact that he didn't have college experience, Jalen Leck, that will probably bring him down to the second round. I think there's too many questions with him, and I don't think they'll be answered at the NBA draft combine.
Fair enough. I mean, Anthony, you fall in love with that, and you see how high he went. But he went
24.
He was dynamic from the outside, though. Yeah. And I think that's what's different. Anthony's shot, so clear, so clean, so quick. That's what made him special. And he set the majority of this year was him playing, between G League and sitting on the end of a bench because he needed to build up to an NBA body. Jalen, I think, is a different end of it because he is physical enough to go in. He plays in the paint a lot when he drives. So I'm not sure if he can make it all the way up to 24 where Anthony went, just purely from a gameplay standpoint.
I think Anthony probably didn't go 24, knowing us.
I was going to say.
No, he did. Nope. Yeah, he went 24. We were right.
Hey.
For the first time ever
Sean.
on an NBA draft podcast, we were right, baby.
Woo!
All right, anyways, let's do the next one. Final one. Not final one. Nasir Little. I don't care. Dude
Really?
Sucks.
Oh, come on.
What can he show you that's going to make him this lottery prospect again? What's going to shoot him up the draft boards? I don't care.
When a lot of people felt
about Nasir Little.
Nasir Little, when did people fall in love with him?
The Summit game.
Exactly. When he got to play against the top talent in the nation, and he went out there, and he may have been the only one trying for certain plays. But if you put him back out there on the court with basically a lot of the same familiar faces, do you think he could show up? Do you think he could play up if he got the opportunity in those 5-on-5s? Because that's the thing for me. I'm like, look, this is not, the overcoached system. This is you and a bunch of other guys on the court just playing basketball. When the game gets simpler, are you a better player? And I think he would be. I get a little.
It's compelling, but what team's going to be like, all right, we're going to simplify our offense and defense so Nasir can ball? Like,
I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying we might get to see more of what we had hoped to see out of him after that Summit game.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point, but will that be able to translate to an actual NBA game?
It's a damn good question that a GM has to answer.
And I don't think that if I'm drafting top 10, top 15, I want a guy that might need a lot of help to become an NBA player. He might have the skills, he might have the body, but to actually become and take that next step to become an NBA player, I don't know if that's a guy that I want to take a risk on. And I think Nasir Little, even if he goes out and plays well at this combine, even if he tests as an above average athlete, he's not really telling us some stuff that we did not know. He underperformed. So great, you're still that player that we thought you were coming into college, but in college you were still that same player. You were still that great athlete. You didn't lose any of that. So why didn't you produce? And if it comes down to the fact that it was too complicated at North Carolina, both offensively and defensively, then how are you going to be able to play in the NBA? How are you going to be able to switch? How are you going to be able to run screens? How are you going to be able to remember all these fucking plays that they run in the NBA? How are you going to remember even rules? Like,
okay,
I don't know.
Okay, he is not
joking.
He's not Marquise Chris level like joking. Brick IQ of basketball here.
I worry about I'm not worried. I just don't think he's going to show me enough.
Okay,
and that's change my mind.
There's a lot riding on his shoulders for this because he underperformed all season long. So this is the last chance for spotlight before individual team workouts, where I think he probably would look pretty good in individual team workouts. I mean, I think that's a very good opportunity for him to show him outside of a system. So this is step one. You hit the team workouts. There's a chance that he goes in the top 15. I don't want him to go lottery. I know he's got the body to go lottery, but I don't think he's got the game. So yeah. Still, this is step one of two. Like, you hit this, you hit your individual team workout. There's always a very good there's a very good chance you go top 20. There's an even better chance you could go top 15.
He could be Jaylen Brown of this class. Let's move now to Chuma Okeke, the guy from Auburn that you really like. I'm surprised he got an invite because he tore his ACL.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's nowhere near being like healthy at this point.
Like, are we gonna be able to see him play at all?
No.
So
he
what's
can't
the
play.
invite for?
To get measured, to talk to people.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of the interviews.
Same with Jonte Porter?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no way he does anything because it's barely been what?
2 months.
2 months. Because it was April. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, barely. So no, I don't expect to see a ton of him doing anything. I expect him to go in, get measured. He may do like bench press or some shit that doesn't require him to use his legs at all. Even though you sort of do, but whatever. Bad technique, me. Who uses legs? No, I want to see him out there. I just want to see him moving again and talking to people because I think he's someone who I came onto that train so late in the season. I was one of the people who was like, all right, these are people to watch for in the NCAA tournament. Saw the names, like, okay, let me watch some games. Like, oh, he's pretty good. And then I started seeing the games in the tournament. I was like, holy shit. How did I miss this all year?
Yeah.
And I really fell in love with him. And that was obviously like a heartbreaking injury for him and his team. But I truly believe that he does have NBA level talent. So injury sucks. And I said it earlier in the show is I look at someone, if he's going to miss the first X months of the year, I don't really care because I'm drafting you to play for more than the first year.
Well, I think he's still going to be a second-round talent just because of that injury. I think I don't think he's going to be able to change that at all, but some team might be able to fall in love with him where they trade up in the second round to go and get him. And let's jump onto Jonte Porter as well onto this because the reports say that recently retore his ACL. So he is invited, and he was one of the worst performers athletically when we come to last year at the slowest shuttle speed. He might not be able to try that shuttle speed again. What can he do exactly to help him? Can he help himself at all at this combine?
I almost wonder, is this like a slap in the face? Like, we're giving it to you because your name's Porter, and we respect that, and you were a top player, but we know you can't do anything.
Maybe they sent it out too late. Like they sent it out, he got it, and when he was like running to show his dad that he got the invite, he tore his ACL.
And then his dad tore his ACL going to him.
Jesus Christ. And then Michael tore his ACL.
And then his sister tore his ACL for the 8th time.
That
poor family.
Do you think that Porter is like Okeke and that mindset.
I think Porter, because of his shot, has so much more value. Like Chuma was athletically gifted. Porter's the opposite. Porter's got a clean shot. He's got good size, but he's not anywhere close to someone who can bounce off the ground as high, do anything athletically that crazy. So the combine for him, I think, is very much like, are you gonna stop hurting yourself? Like, can you just stay healthy and show us that you can play basketball? Because by all accounts, last year he was going to be a late one, and he decided to come back because this year, seemingly weak draft class comparatively, and there was a chance he could go top 10. Obviously, things didn't happen that way, but I still look at him and I still see his top end talent being where it is, and I'm like, look, you don't even have to. I wouldn't mind if he if they did anything, whatever. He's just in his own category.
We got 2 more guys, and then we have a prop bet with 9 winners, and then I'm going to make up. Let's go to Kevin Porter Jr. first. I think the biggest thing for me is how good of an athlete he is.
Oh, absolutely.
Is he going to be jumping like 44? What's his vert going to be? How quick is he?
Do you think it's over 40?
It's got to be over 40. I mean, he's ridiculously gifted.
Yeah.
I 100% 40.
I wonder what the combine 2018 vert.
The top, I think it was
results.
Grayson, wasn't it? Weirdly enough, I think it was Grayson.
I'm pulling him up right now. This would have been great to have up the whole time.
Yeah. At least with Kevin Porter, though, I think the biggest thing will be interviews
Dante.
for him. It was Dante at 44, 42.
His max vert leap was 42. Josh Okogie, also 42.
Yeah.
Trayvon Duval, Anthony Simmons, Zaire Smith.
Nice.
That was a fun combo.
I think the biggest thing with Kevin Porter Jr. will just be how elite of an athlete he is, and then obviously interviews, because he's got to answer what happened and why he was suspended at USC, and then why he was kind of ousted by his team. I mean, he really wasn't involved in those games after December, and that's a big thing for me is like, are you going to be able to contribute to your team? Is this going to happen again? What was the situation? Explain yourself, answer this, because, I mean, if you're going to be investing a top 15 pick in this guy, you got to be able to know what you're getting, and I think that's the biggest thing with Kevin Porter Jr. is be able to answer what you're doing when it comes to this suspension that was given to you by your coach.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There's just so many questions we need answered. And athletically, if he can hit on, honestly, his shooting has been suspect as well. So on top of his just pure athleticism, his vert, his lane agility, shuttle drill, all of that, I need to see the shots actually land. Because you watch him play, and I've said it a million times, you watch him play, and his highlight reel looks amazing. You're like, this kid, absolutely top 3 pick in this draft class, and then you like watch the rest of the game, like, the fuck did he go? Like, I don't understand like how you can have such high highs and just completely disappear off your own team for portions of a game. So I need to see consistency from his all of the shooting splits that they break it up, whether left, right, center, like they do them all. Let's see it.
Yeah. I think that obviously is the big thing with Kevin Porter Jr. Again, is the interviews, and then obviously what you said, Dave. I think you hit the nail on the head. Let's move to the last one. Lucas Samanic?
I don't know.
Lucas Samanic from
I was joking
from
about
Slovenia. He was born in Croatia. Other Luka, he's not going to be a great athlete no matter what.
No.
I just wonder what his basketball IQ is, and is he going to be lost in those 5-on-5s? That's the biggest thing, because I mean, he doesn't know these guys. Some of these guys know each other just because obviously they played against each other. AAU's big, so they probably know each other from there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Luka going in here, only international player that's been invited. So how is he going to fit in, and will he be absolutely lost in the 5-on-5s? And if he is, how is that going to affect his draft class? That's the biggest thing for me is, can he stand out? Can he at least make some headway when it comes to the 5-on-5 games? That's the biggest thing for me for Luka, is be able to stand out with your peers, or at least be able to contribute in those games with your peers. Yeah,
I mean, he's got good size. The question is does he have the agility to match? He's 6'10", somewhere north of 210, we're assuming at this point. That'll be interesting to see where he's in at too. That's the other thing. I'm a little concerned about that, but we'll see, because if he's a legit 6'10", 210, then I'm good with him size-wise. I'd love to see him be a little more agile, but at the same time, I'm not probably going to get it. He's got good handles, though, and I think that his shot's solid. Like, he's a player who's not going to wow anyone at the combine. I think he's almost like... I expect him to be like graded middle out. Maybe shooting's one thing he can excel at for his position, but outside of that, Not super concerned with, his cone drill, shuttle, lane agility, any of that. None of that's going to do anything because he's not good at it.
Yeah, and I don't think teams are
not.
expecting him to be good at it. And that's why, like Kevin Porter Jr., at least with him, like if he is able to show that he is an elite athlete, then it's going to be a little bit easier to swallow that lack of production because he is so gifted. He looks so gifted, but now you got to be able to give that production at the combine where no one has these high expectations for Luka.
Yeah, he's a great offensive player though. So if his shooting splits look great, bonus.
Final thing, DJ Stevens set the vertical leap record in 2013 of 46 inches. Does Zion break it?
Whew. All right. Best case scenario.
We've seen this dude jump over the box of the basket.
Yeah. I want to say yes. I want to say he'll go 46.5. Give me that half inch.
Jesus Christ. That'd be insane.
I mean, he's 285. 6 foot.
Duke said that it was 45 inches.
Aw.
I mean, does he just up it? Has he been just working on it, working out those calves to get that extra inch and a half?
If he loses like 10 pounds, that could raise him up a little bit more.
I did look it up. He's not going to be the heaviest player. The heaviest is 303, so he's only 18 pounds less than the record of 303.
Dude, you got a couple days. Hit up Burger King a couple times, No,
I don't think he breaks it, but it'd be crazy.
46 is crazy. He did supposedly 45. Wow. He's number one in the class. I got that down.
Well, if he's not, I'd be shocked. Yeah. The only way he's not is if he doesn't participate.
I think this is the only drill he should participate in.
Yes.
Show up. Don't even get weighed or measured. It's like, I'm going to pass on that. Like NFL Combine, like I'm going to choose and select what I'm going to participate in. That would be awesome from him. Because I am wondering, for me, it's the height. Like height and wingspan.
What do you think he's going to clock in at?
I'm worried that he's only like 6'5 3/4.
No, I don't think he's that small. I think he's 6'7".
You think he's 6'7" without shoes?
No,
because remember they do it.
Shoes matter because you're going to be playing.
They do
basketball
height without
with
shoes. That is the height without shoes measurement.
The one that matters though is height with shoes because you play basketball with shoes.
I understand that. I'm just saying the measurement is officially height without shoes.
Okay, then I'd say 6'5.5".
That's my concern.
I think
because
he gets an inch and a half.
We still don't know where the fuck he's going to play on a court. Like I know positions don't exist, but what are you?
Do positions exist for a 6'5.5", 285-pound bowling ball with a 46-inch vertical?
Is he going to weigh 285 still?
I don't know. I think he clocks in 6.5 without shoes.
Mm-hmm. Wait, 2 6.5 without shoes?
6.5 without shoes. 275.
Give me a wingspan.
Hits a 44-inch vert.
And a wingspan of?
He's got a pretty big wingspan.
You think it's
7?
Whoa. You think it's 7 foot?
Yeah. I think he's got long arms.
All right.
I think he's gonna. I mean, that's why I think he's elite. It's just because he's so weird. He's 6'5.5", one of the biggest players in the NBA. When he comes in with
Talon Horton-Tucker.
Zion is clearly better.
Oh, not even close. I'm just saying, like that's the same reason why Talon Horton-Tucker, his name is being breathed into life in the first round.
Yeah.
Is because he has those potentially elite measurables. He's not quite in the explosive athleticism that Zion has, which is truly unique to him. But just that's why people are seeing like that's a weird combo. We can make that work. That's unique.
Yeah. All right. Let us know
don't get injured at the combine.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Don't get injured at the combine, and then also let us know what players you're excited for out of the 66 that are invited to the combine that you'll be excited to watch and you'll be following. Obviously, we laid out the ones that we did. Probably picked too many, but hey, I had fun, Dave.
Yeah.